What is up, Who Dat Nation? Chris Rosvoglou and John Hendrix here from Boo Crew Media, giving you the first Saints pregame live show of the 2022 regular season. The Saints kick off this season in Atlanta against the Falcons. John, you're there. What's the vibe right now at Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
Yeah, look, it was packed all around. Just getting into the stadium and such. A lot of tailgate action going on. Fans are starting to file in. So we're getting ready for a 1 p.m. kickoff here Eastern time. So a lot of cool stuff coming around. I expect this probably to be a 50-50 type mix. I'd be surprised if it isn't a 50-50 mix, a Saints fans to Falcons fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's start off with pretty much the biggest news of the day, the first injury report, inactive list, who's in, who's out. Biggest name, obviously, Michael Thomas. He's going to be in, something that a lot of you guys were talking about this week, about him looking good in practice and be surprised if he doesn't play. That being said, for people who weren't there, what do you think we can expect from Michael Thomas, whether it's limited reps, full reps, whatever he gets today? What should we expect from number 13?
Yeah, look, the thing is, watching him in practice this week, this guy was going every rep at about 125. You know what I mean? And just you could see the determination on his face. And again, this goes back to training camp, right? So with Michael Thomas, look, I know he's determined. He thinks he can outdo everything he did from 2019. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Realistically, I expect him to be involved here. Now, is he going to have a dominant type of game? I don't think so, and I don't think he has to. But, you still have to worry about the chemistry, the timing with Jameis Winston. I still think he can get in the end zone, have several catches, extend some drives. I think that's kind of what we're looking forward to. But look, if you get Michael Thomas in a 10 reception, 150-yard game for a score, that's probably one of the best things you could see as a Saints fan today. But I think temper our expectations a little bit. Probably 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 catches, maybe about 7 targets sounds about right. Probably flirt with 100 yards today and get in the end zone. I think that's probably realistic for Michael Thomas today.
Yeah, look, flirting with 100 yards, Saints fans would definitely take that. It's been a while since we've seen 13 on the field. It'll be great to see him in action. Some guys that won't be on the field today, Saints announcing Nick Vannett, Traquan Smith, Dwayne Washington, Paulson Adebo, Tano Passanio, Wyatt Davis. I'll start with one that people have talked about. I've seen over Twitter the last couple of minutes. People are asking questions. Tano Passanio being inactive. This is a guy who, when healthy last year, made some plays. Should Saints fans take this almost as a good thing in the sense that there's a lot of defensive line depth and those guys are healthy? How do you kind of perceive this situation?
Yeah, so first and foremost, what I would take away from this is Marcus Davenport being 100% or being ready to go. I think that's the best and most encouraging news there. Now, this is kind of the thing where it puts a lot of pressure on Peyton Turner. I think he's a guy that's going to come into this situation and have a lot on his plate. He's going to be under scrutiny every single rep that he takes. But look, I think with Peyton Turner in the mix, that's where you kind of have to shift your focus. Because Carl Granderson, look, he bulked up in the offseason. He put on some weight. He's playing around that 285 range, 285 range. And he's worked at really defending against the run. Falcons and Marcus Mariota and just kind of the way they want to run this option. Read option is a thing. Cordero Patterson is a guy that is a big weapon. Look for the Falcons to try to establish that tempo on the run. Marcus Davenport's great at setting the edge. You got Peyton Turner in there as a good run defender. And not that Tano isn't as good at what he does, but look, this is a deep position coming into the season, and health was going to be the number one thing for the Saints. And so it's a good sign right now, and I feel confident with what they're going to roll in when it comes to starting this game.
Yeah, and another guy listed inactive, Nick Vannett, someone who we kind of talked about, whether it was on the roster bubble, whatever, the tight end room was crowded. What should we maybe expect from there? Is it going to be a tight end by committee approach? Would we imagine, whether it's Johnson, Taysom Hill, Troutman? I know Troutman is listed as the one, of course, but you have two guys who are kind of, I'd say, learning the position on the fly in Taysom and Juwan Johnson. What do you hope to see from that group?
Yeah, look, I think Adam Troutman's the guy to look at. I think I pegged him as the breakout player for the Saints. I think he can have a killer year, especially with all the weapons around them. They're going to try to get Alvin Kamara more involved in the passing game this year. You've got guys with Michael Thomas back, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, Deontay Hardy, Marquez Callaway. I mean, this is a really lethal passing attack, and a guy like Troutman can have a lot of success in this offense. I think he's going to be a featured guy on most of the drives. Juwan Johnson is a red zone threat. I think he's going to get his chances and targets. And as far as Taysom Hill, he's kind of the wild card. So what you miss in Nick Vannett is the blocking ability. And so I think that's one of the things that we got to keep an eye on is how does the blocking look? And something else that we really haven't seen is who is that sixth guy, that sixth offensive lineman. I've not seen who the swing guy is in jumbo sets. that probably would have went to Trevor Penning today. Not sure. It's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. But, look, that's something that you miss with not having Vanette in the lineup. Huge opportunity for this tight end group to really come out and start things right on the right foot. But I would go heavy on Adam Troutman being a guy that's going to be featured a good bit and have his number called a good bit of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And last time Paulson Adebo was in this building, an amazing one-handed interception in the final regular season game of last year. Not the case this time around. He won't be playing, ankle injury, but he is in the building. Should that be a good sign? It seems like maybe it's not far away before we see him back out there.
Yeah, look, again, he's on the field. He's doing some things. And look, is he probably 85%? If I had to guess, yeah, I think so. But I think they want him 100%. And if this was a more meaningful game, would you roll him out there and let him play? Probably so. So I think, not that you're trying to save him for Tampa, but this is a guy, when you look at it, and we talked about it on Boot Crew this week, but look, you really need him for as much football as you can get. Bradley Roby's proven himself. I think he's going to be a great compliment. May have a few struggles here and there, but Roby's a veteran in this league. He's played 9 years. He's somebody that can adjust and do everything he needs to. I think he'll be just fine. Drake London's obviously going to be a big focal point in this offense. So is Kyle Pitts. But outside of that, it's kind of an unknown, right? And so I don't think this is a game that you had to have a Devo playing. He's going to be good to go when it comes to week 2 against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and that's great news to hear about that. The interesting thing about this secondary, the talent is there. A couple of, I would say, shuffling going around there. Debo sits, Roby moves to 2. Then that maybe opens up the question mark in the slot. What's going on? Saints clearly have options. That's not the question. But in your opinion, what do you think we might see? Could it be a mix? Could it be some Justin Evans, some Tyrann Mathieu, some PJ Williams? Do you kind of expect that to be the way this unfolds?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a mix. So having Alontae Taylor there right off the start, I don't think so. But I think with the Falcons, the way their run defense is, a run attack is, and where they're going to try to establish tempo, I think this is going to be more of a game that you see a lot of 4-3 base on there, not necessarily nickel. You're going to have a lot more of Caden Ellis today, I feel like. I think when they do roll in the nickel, it could be Tyrann Mathieu that goes in the slot. It could be PJ Williams. It could be Justin Evans. I think they have a lot of versatility there, but I don't think this is a game where you have to have one particular guy because the Saints are going to play a heavy nickel in this one. I think they're going to have a lot more base in this one, 4-3 looks, and obviously in third downs, passing situations. But, things might change throughout the course of the game. Obviously expect PJ Williams to be pretty active. Tyrann Mathieu, they'll move him around a good bit. Marcus May is back there. He's going to be playing, obviously. That's a big one, too, that they could move around if they wanted to. So I don't think there's anything there to say I'd be concerned about. But it's just going to be one of those mini wrinkles in week 1 that you're just like, man, I just can't wait to see what happens. And I'm just glad football's back.
Yeah, certainly. And you mentioned Tyrann Mathieu. Obviously, people are loving his pregame attire, him warming up in a Deion Sanders shirt. Tyrann Mathieu, over the course of his career, we've seen he's kind of been that vocal leader in the secondary. First year with the Saints, obviously, had to deal with a little bit of illness earlier this week. Thankfully, he's in Atlanta. What you've seen just through practices and things of that nature, how much responsibility from a leadership standpoint is he taking on? I know, when you think of the Saints defense, you think it's kind of Demario Davis's unit, and rightfully so. He's the leader in the huddle. What did we kind of expect to see in the back end with Tyrann Mathieu? Should we see him taking charge from day one today?
Yeah, I think so. And here's what everybody's got to remember. This is not going to be a perfect product on defense. I think you wanted to think that, and you want to say this is a defense going to pick up the continuity from last year. That's all out the window, right? You want to see them do things. They're going to have to work on some communication. The biggest things are you getting deep ball? Are you blowing any coverages? Are you talking out there? What does that look like in a live game experience? But I expect no matter how things go, Tyrann Mathieu is going to be extremely vocal, getting everybody focused. He's a guy that comes in, prays for his leadership, the way he does. He's got a lot of respect in that locker room for what he does. I think he's going to make a gigantic impact. And look, you're looking at a safety tandem that had Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams last year and was absolutely playing lights out. I think they have even more upside with Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May and just some of the other versatile weapons. But look, Matthew's a guy that's going to take charge. He knows what to expect. He's very smart. And don't forget about Chris Richard as a secondary coach in here. He's going to do a lot of good things, too, to help get these guys aligned and focused and coach up any type of shortcomings that we see on the field.
Yeah, and, we talked about the secondary. We talked about the receiving core. I'm curious for you, John, is there a position group in particular today that you're going to be keeping maybe a closer eye than most in week 1, kind of seeing how that group molds going into week 2?
I think it's the offensive line for me. I think everything centers around that offensive line. And so you got your healthiest look right now. You got McCoy, who just got paid. He's going to be anchoring you. You got Ruiz, who we've seen take some leaps in growth this year. Andres Pete is another one that people are just waiting kind of for a bad play, if you will. But James Hurst is a feature guy at left tackle, and then obviously Ryan Ramczyk. How they protect against Jameis Winston is going to be everything, the key to their success for this season. I think they're going to open up some big games in the running department, and I don't think it's just with Alvin Kamara. It'll be Mark Ingram. That right side can be absolutely dominant with a healthy Ryan Ramczyk and Cesar Ruiz. I look forward for some big things in the run department. Grady Jarrett is a very tough person to defend against, so that's another area that I'm looking for. But I think you look at Winston, he's going to have the time, he's going to have a lot of looks, but it does not happen unless that offensive line is intact, and I think that's going to be your big focal point going forward as this season progresses.
So you mentioned the offensive line, John. When you kind of look into this matchup and you're kind of going through, keys that'll determine maybe a victory for the Saints, is it in the trenches? Is it possibly containing Marcus Mariota and making sure? What are kind of your big factors going into this game?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's isolating Cordero Patterson. He's a versatile weapon. Last year in this time in the season finale, they did a great job of isolating him and negating him from having impact in this game. But you remember that last one in the Superdome where he ran wild, got involved in plays, with passing and running. I mean, he was just a one-man wrecking crew, if you will. So I think that's where you start is stopping him and Mariota, the fact that he can do that read option. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is going to be a huge focal point. He does a lot of great things. Drake London is also a top draw for Marshawn Lattimore. But, he's a rookie. You don't know exactly what to expect. So I think for the Saints, obviously, it's don't shoot yourself in the foot in week one. Play smart football. Don't get penalized. Keep the ball. Don't turn it over. That was a big thing that really helped them last year in this meeting in the regular season finale. They got a good bit of turnovers. Look for the Saints defense to kind of set the tone here. And the offense is going to have a little bit easier game. And then obviously the last thing I'd say is special teams. Having Roulette's back is such a huge thing for the Saints team. I think he's obviously going to be a guy that comes in and is going to make his mark immediately. We've only missed 2 kicks in training camp. Deontay Hardy in the return game is going to be huge for him. And, of course, Blake Gillikin, their all-pro punter, whether they want to give him an award or not. He's so valuable at pinning other opponents back as far as possession and starting field position. I think that really can be a game thing where, you see a lot of stalemates in this game. He's going to be a guy that is a huge weapon once it's all said and done.
Yeah, and, we didn't talk about it earlier, and I would say this is more so just a comfort thing at this point, feeling good about where he is health-wise. But Jameis Winston, first game officially back since the ACL tear. What should we expect? I know, you've talked about it. I've talked about it a little bit, getting the run game going, setting everything up after that. Do we kind of think that should be the best strategy today? We know Jameis Winston on play action pass could be lethal.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's going to command the brace all season. He said that to us early on. Look, he can scramble, he can run. I don't think he has to run or do anything with his legs there. But look, if he feels that pressure in the pocket, he's great at navigating it, stepping up, doing a lot of good things. I think it's going to make his job a little bit easier. And the thing is, it's really hard for the Saints, matching up against the Saints, and where the expectations are is that you give him the presence and the pocket protection that he needs. If you're trying to defend Michael Thomas on an in route, or if it's a slant or whatever the case, you got Jarvis Landry that can be elusive. You got Chris Olave that can do a lot of different things in his route tree. And then you're adding guys like Deontay Hardy that can stretch the field. I mean, this could be a really good day for Jameis Winston, who, oh, by the way, has not played against Atlanta since 2019 season. So he hasn't been a part of this. He hasn't played since then. He's 4-5 against the team. I think he's in for a win today. I think he's going to do pretty well. But, look, he doesn't have to throw it 50 times a game for the Saints to win. Lean on that run game with Boom and Zoom, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram. Maybe 30 throws sounds about right for him today. But, look, if they call on him to do 50, he's going to throw 50. If it's 30, great. But it's similar to what happened against Green Bay last year. He does not have to beat this team with his arm.
Yeah, and that's a little fun fact there. The last 2 years, the Falcons have seen a whole lot of Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian. Jameis Winston gets his crack today. Last question, John, before we wrap things up. Sean Payton era's over. It's Dennis Allen's time to shine. Going into week one, what's kind of the vibe in the building that he's implemented? Any differences that you've noticed?
Well, I'd say one of the things that the Saints have been working, or they're wearing a T-shirt now. It's got a team, like team in big fonts and everything that's on there. And underneath there's a little squidge that says me. So it's about the team first here, something that he's implemented since day one. A guy that's let's do the work and let's go home. I know the family aspect is really important for him, just to make sure that his players are focused at all times. But look, he surrounded himself with a great coaching staff. The only question mark that I have is the situational football. Peyton was a guy that was aggressive. He was a gambler at times, if you will, when it came to some of these decisions. How does DA handle that? How does he handle things with challenges? How does he, navigate situations that come across in the course of the game? So that's the only question mark I have. But look, DA I think is fine. I think the pressure here for the Saints is more on Jameis Winston than it is Dennis Allen. But look, new era of Saints football, as you touched on. Super excited about it. I am so ready to see what this is like because we don't know what to expect. We have it in our minds. Vegas odds 8.5. Hopefully you put down a bet to say it's over on that one because I think the Saints are in for a really killer year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens. Like you said, John, a lot of expectations, a lot of unknown at the same time. We'll kind of see how it unfolds today. Kickoff set for 12 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. John, enjoy the game. And Saints fans, get ready for an exciting one. We'll see if they can start this season off.